Each week at Zoom into Wine, we take on a different topic, and this week we are going to discuss and taste some fantastic Merlot and Cab Franc and blends thereof. I explore the categories, wanting to see what's happening with different producers, different varietals, and some different wines that we have in the store. Tasting them next to each other gives me a great amount of information and allows me to compare and contrast, weed out those that maybe were poor decisions, improve the store inventory going forward, celebrate a couple of champions like we're going to do tonight as well, and kind of bring us all up to speed on my thoughts and ideas and some of yours as well about the categories. Merlot is certainly a little bit more infamous in its rise and rapid descent. Basically, back in the 1990s, I was selling wine for a major distributor, Young's Market Company. I'd call the switchboard to ask them how many cases of Merlot I was allowed to sell that day. We did not have enough wine. The market was growing rapidly. Red wine, was major conversation. Part of the rapid rise was a program by 60 Minutes called The French Paradox, where they talked about drinking a little bit of wine each day can have you live longer. And they didn't run, 60 Minutes is not a small show, especially in the 1990s. And they ran this show multiple times with different evolutions, and the results were all the same, just more red wine drinking, more wet red wine drinking. And the easiest red wine to enjoy, the most popular that was being talked about at that time was Merlot. And I remember the day, it was around 1997, when you could see the Merlot popularity actually usurped or went above Cabernet. The price of a bottle of Merlot from competing brands at that time, brands like BV, Robert Mondavi. I worked for a winery eventually called Kenwood. We had the Jack London Merlot. Could not keep this stuff in stock. And we would go out and wouldn't even be able to taste people on it. They just bought it because the demand was so strong. And Merlot, led the way. And unfortunately, with everything like that, when there's a huge amount of demand, pent up demand, marketers came in and found ways to make Merlots to fill that hole, and those wines weren't very good. And and in some ways, Merlot kind of got damaged by that trend. I think everybody started to overcrop it a little bit. The production got a little worse, and literally just like death by a thousand paper cuts, all of a sudden Merlot sucked everywhere. And just at that perfect moment, Sideways came out. And the famous quote, "You ain't gonna drink any effing Merlot." And boom, everybody blamed Sideways. But it was already in the data. It was already in the bottle. The wine was terrible at that point.
It had
And
gotten really flabby.
yeah, well, it got weird. Literally, I can tell you, Tig, I was asked, one of the brands we sold was Fetzer. Okay. Big grocery store brand, but at the time it was still a legitimate restaurant wine too. And Fetzer all of a sudden switched their source from Mendocino to Chile. And another brand put like wine of the world on the label and was using Merlot from Sicily and Corsica, wherever they could get some Merlot. And it was really bad. Argentina, Merlot, good God, no. It was just not going to be there. And so the whole category just suffered from marketers trying to do it, and it really was tough. All right. Well, let's taste some wine. And we're going to start off with a wine that is made in Washington and it's been featured on this show probably once a year for the last 4 years. Some people think they've tried it already, but every time the wine changes, it's a new iteration. This is a great winery, by the way, J. Bookwalter, and it is maybe a little bit of a shame that in the state of California, I do have a little bit of a hard time selling high-end Washington wines. They are fantastic, but it's like bringing a sack lunch to a buffet when you come in with $100 bottle of Washington Great Red to compete with the wines of California. It's a little challenging.
Ian, your website says Columbia Valley and then it says Oregon on it.
And it may very well. There are
But
quite,
Columbia Valley is usually Washington, isn't
it
it?
is usually, I'm not sure what the wineries, I mean, it says right here in Washington, so maybe it is a mistake, but
Okay, I'm just letting you know that's what's on your website right
on
now.
my website. Well, Columbia Valley does fall on both sides of Washington and Oregon. And if you're an Oregon winery, you are allowed to say Columbia Valley. Some producers even get more specific. Columbia Valley Gorge is a Washington AVA. Um, so yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't checked that out. I'll find out later though, Tig. And uh, so the
Hmm.
wine that we're tasting tonight comes from a fact that I taste with the great broker that represents this brand. Small guy, really solid, comes and visits me. I like the wines all the way up the lineup, but I go right back to this basic wine that they make. The brand's called J. Bookwalter. Everything's got a literary reference to it. This is his like blend of leftovers, and it's so good. It's just how can I buy the really expensive higher end one when this little champion comes in at a price that's just hard to beat. So almost, you know, punishing him for his success. This wine just is one of the best values on our website. Dollar for dollar, it would be hard to beat this little gem. Now, he has taken it up in price recently. I mean, he's starting to realize he got Jay Bookwalter's been in the top 100 recent years, big scores. Maybe supply is starting to shore up a little bit. This is a brand to know about, especially if you're going to go up to the Washington, Oregon area and want to taste some red wines. This is a formidable house. And so we're going to go start with this wine as we look at how Columbia Valley goes all the way down here, all the way north, and it has so many little areas to it: Horse Heaven Hills, Walla Walla, Yamaka, Rattlesnake Hills. There's quite a few parts of Columbia Valley. This is winemaker Cameron Perry. There's 10 generations of Bookwalters out there. Let's see. And the 10th generation is operating it. Big farm, big ranch. They sell a lot of their fruit to others. This wine's 62 Merlot, so not enough to call it a pure Merlot. And we got a bunch of those examples tonight, but a lot of Merlot. 21 Cab, 11 Syrah, 4 Malbec, 1 Cab Franc, 1 Petit Verdot. Very much a Washington type of blend. That's what they're doing up there. Taking advantage, maybe throwing in a little Syrah, giving it a little bit of richness. You're going to get some fantastic cherry. I love the chocolate tones here. It's a real generous little bottle of wine. Each one of these
Ian?
guys play a little role. The Merlot is obviously the most dominant part of the wine, but sometimes, 62% can really be influenced by 11 Syrah and 4 Malbec and 1 Petit Verdot. They all,
That's what I was just about to ask you. Do those 1% really?
yeah. It's kind of like the difference between a sharp and a dull knife. I mean, there really is a difference. And when you add just the right amount, or salt and pepper even is maybe a more applicable example, just a little dash will do you. And if you put too much, the dish is over salted. And that is, I can tell you firsthand, blending my wine, just 1% more of Petit Syrah in my Zinfandel made it taste like a Petit Syrah. And I wanted to have the wine benefit from the Petit Syrah, but not be overrun by it. And these are the little things that happen. And it's really fun to blend wine to learn just how, I mean, literally comes down sometime to a half of a percent, and you can really get careful about it, and it's you'll really notice a massive swing in the character, and all of a sudden the mouthfeel doesn't feel right, and the nose doesn't smell the same. Here's a look at the facility for Jay Bookwalter. Very much a crowd pleasing spot, open. It's got a very busy terrace. $16 a bottle. This wine's always been 90 to 92 points. Not sure who gave it that 90. Let me see. Wine enthusiast. I gave it a highly recommended. Now, one thing that this winery started to do is to bottle this without a vintage. In 2023, they brought the vintage dating back, and this wine took a pretty strong price increase when they did that. The non-vintage idea was fun and worked, but I guess they got enough resistance to it that nobody wanted to jump in and grab it all. Let's taste it together and see what you think. Colors moderate. It's got some nice darkish hues, but it's a little thin in the depth of the color. Nose is beautiful though. Very much a big Bordeaux style red wine nose. I think when they're making this wine, what they're really paying attention to is that mouthfeel. You're adding all those ingredients and you're coming up with a wine that you just want to be people pleasing, satisfying. You can pop this wine every day of the week, cheeseburger, barbecue, meatloaf, whatever it is. This is going to absolutely deliver. It is under Stelvin, which I really like about this package because this wine is made to be drank now. You could certainly count on it, lasting 4 or 5 years, but it's protecting it. I don't like, I want to take a bottle like this to maybe a something like the Hollywood Bowl. Don't want to have to worry about the wine opener. I just think the freshness, the packaging smart, looks quality, and I just really love the way this thing delivers, and hope you guys do as well. Got a couple chats in there,
Punches way above its price point.
way above its price
There's
point.
nothing, I mean, it's a plunk. Nothing about this says plunk to me as I drink it.
Exactly. It's not like diluted, thin, watered down, you know, some wines at some price points literally can taste how much water they added to it. Um, this has got enough texture and weight. I think you have a hard time finding out the price point here, or guessing the price point. And
I wouldn't have until I looked.
Thomas's question was a good one. How long will this age? I definitely think this is, it's a 23. I think it's easy ride to 28 in this wine.
It's
So
got some structure to it.
yeah, and it might even get a little better over the next year or two because it is, 23 still like coming around. This wine was made in a way without a lot of wood, without a lot of oxygen. So it's meant to be fresh, but I think freshness is until 28 with this wine for sure, and it might even really take even another leg higher in quality over the next year. But this is a fairly new vintage. Maybe the 24 is coming around the corner. I just don't know about it, but we order this wine on a pretty regular basis. It often makes our value boxes and makes people really happy, and people come back and buy it because of our value boxes. If you don't know that we do that, for something around 140 bucks, we will send out 12 bottles from the store. Now, in that listing, what we sometimes tell you is that sometimes we're going to put a bottle in there that's way out of bounds on price because the label got damaged or scuff mark, something like that. We might stuff a 30, 40, $50 bottle of wine in our value boxes. Is everything going to make you go yum like this one? Well, maybe because uh, we're not buying anything less quality than this for the store anymore. The wines, this is like I think one of the least expensive wines in the store in its category. And so we're on some good wines in those value boxes, including this one. It, it works out to be a good deal for me. All right, moving into wine number two. Can't tell I'm kind of serious tonight because trying to get down to business. Been a busy day. One point today, I had in my uh, you know, did I disappear for a second? Because the thing just reloaded.
You did. You're back.
I don't know if you guys have heard about all of the internet craziness out there, but like Eventbrite went down worldwide. Um, AWS went down worldwide. There's been some weird stuff, so we might have some more of those little ins and outs. So if I do disappear again, no, I'll be trying to get back. So I think I got distracted there, but I'm kind of serious right now. I'm kind of focused because it was a crazy day. But when I've been moving in, been unpacking, been taking things up as fast as I can in this new space. Today our new stove arrived, a new hood, bathroom, faucet. So I had a plumber, an electrician, a locksmith, all there at the same time. Air conditioning went out while I'm standing there. it was it was wild. Um, and the fire department was there checking fire alarms, so it could not have had much more frenetic energy. So I came in today. I guess you should put it on now. Guess I'm just kind of acting a little bit like Shohei Ohtani did last Friday. So he got right down to business. Right, Thomas?
He did. One of the most impressive performances by any baseball player ever.
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 I was there, fourth row.
Seriously. Wow.
It
It must
was
have been a
I
thrill.
lost my voice. I lost my mind. It was outstanding. It was my birthday.
Oh, wow. Happy belated birthday.
Yeah, I'm a Dodger World Series birthday boy. So whenever they go to the World Series, that and I am tapping out with the because the t price of the tickets just goes nuts during the World Series.
Right.
I'll be looking for an opportunity, but it's like $900 to sit in the nosebleeds, and
Wow.
I'd rather watch it from a bar than the nosebleeds. So, all right, let's go back in. Wine number two. Absolutely positively love this wine. I drink it at Italian restaurants when I find it. I love turning people on to it. I hope you guys like it as much as I do because I just think this wine's like super cool. Now we have a couple little Tuscan bombers like this. Think of Tuscany. You got one of the most overplanted zones in the on the planet with Chianti. Okay. They are growing grapes everywhere. There's so much supply, so many producers that don't even have an exporter. All this wine's going to end up somewhere. And you got some really good properties with some really good distribution. So they're finding ways to get some of that wine, in the bottle. And the commodity itself is just still oversupplied. So it's all for our benefit when that happens. Brand here is called Alla from Lagone. It's in, we're talking about just, did she highlight where Lagone is? I believe it's right out here in the outskirts of Chianti. Winemaker's name is Tibor Gall. Um, there's some family lineage to that name, goes back in time, also back to Hungary. I almost went to visit Tibor Gall when his family's winery in Hungary was when he operated it, but Hungarian winery, family owned, maybe got too much for him. He moved to Tuscany and now working with this family here. 104 acres. I love going to Tuscany. I love eating in Italy. Some of the great pleasures in life. There's some little just restaurants and mom and pop places you go. Wine is cheap. The food's amazing. This is 60 Merlot again, 30 Cab this time, and 10 Cab Franc. So no Sangiovese. It's a pure Super Tuscan, just really meant for value. There's Tibor.
Wow.
14, 23, 23, 32. Let's see how we do. Still have the last one in my glass. Hold on. Lagone. I've been increasing the speed of which we've been selling this wine. I would love to take a very large position on it because I do believe people are going to figure out how good this is for the money. 20 bucks.
Hmm.
We work pretty hard at 20, but it is the right number. Notice when you smell this wine, the first thing you're going to get is that whiff of Italy. Boom, right there. Some little dried herbs, some like salumi type of smell, some uh, like dried meats. And then you get to the fruit, and there's some really nice fruit in there, some beautiful cherry plum. You can pick your favorites. If you're more of a New World lover, you might prefer the first. This just got a sizzling seam of acidity at the end. I love it with food and uh, great with so many different things. Go to an Italian restaurant, have you know, maybe I'm not going to have this with something creamy. I'm going to have it with something like with some meat in the dish, some pasta, some tagliatelle or something like that. Some pasta shells stuffed with meat. Maybe it's a shank, veal shank. Um, I just think this is a little delicious find. You can find this in an Italian restaurant for about 60 bucks, 50 bucks on a wine list. So it's a nice little find and a good value. And I hope you guys enjoyed that. We'll move into wine number three. We've tasted two wines in a row that are in the Merlot blend category. We're gonna shift gears pretty hard here and taste a classic Chinon from one of the best producers in Chinon, Charles Jouget. Jouget makes maybe nine different Chinon. Um, I might be exaggerating, it might only be six, but there's a number of them. And this is his Petite Roche, probably the small rocks in Chinon, which is in the Loire Valley. Not sure if any of you've been, but City of Tours, right over here, very close by Chinon. And there's just a fantastic little tourist place. You could do it on bikes. You could really it's quite a frequent spot for European travelers as well. Cab Franc is the white. Chenin Blanc is the, I'm sorry, Cab Franc is the red. Chenin Blanc is the white. You got Vouvray next door. Simur, Champagny, um, Bourguil, all these little zones in here. 1957, 32 hectares, about 70 acres, 80 acres. Today, the winery is run by Jacques Gannett, Kevin Fontaine, and Anne Charlotte Gannett. And it looks just like this. I have been here, I've been into the caves. The wineries in Chinon are all in the limestone caves on the hill. They smell like limestone. The wines sitting in these kind of damp, moist caves create an energy and an authenticity to the wines of Chinon. They're very consistent. I said six, there's six. I said nine initially, but I think I did pull that back. 100% Cab Franc, no blending allowed in Chinon. And that is sending you straight to the mother rock, the earth. You're smelling mushrooms and flowers and vegetables, olives. You go to Paris, you go to a cafe, they've got maybe a glass of Beaujolais available, a glass of Chinon would be the second tier, and probably a Bordeaux by the glass would be the three tiers they would offer by the glass. Um, Cab Franc, a little more acid. This is the mother grape variety, Cabernet Franc made Cabernet Sauvignon. Sauvignon Blanc and Cabernet Franc got together to make Cabernet Sauvignon. So pretty interesting. Fragrant, gentle, easy to drink. There is some great aging potential to these. These get pretty fun when they get older. My absolute favorite producer I also own is Bernard Beaudry. We recently tasted the Beaudry Sheen on one of our Zooms. That hits more like the $50, $60 price point. This one's a little kindler, a little gentler. That's why I buy this particular SKU. I have tasted with this gentleman in the cellar. Absolutely, they thrive on regenerative farming, very little use of any kind of chemicals, herbicides, or pesticides. You're at 32 bucks, which is kind of where this brand lives, somewhere between 28 and $38, probably for all six of those. Yeah, there's a couple of those that probably hit 50 bucks. Richard the Lionheart died in Chinon. Did not know that.
Now you do.
Bam.
It was part of the English kingdom at the time.
Perfect. What do you guys think?
Love this wine.
Cool. Natalie, you're shaking your head. You like it? Did your husband make some food tonight?
Mhm. Some pasta.
Okay, cool. Is it getting cool there already?
Yeah, it is actually kind of waking up in the morning. It's like in the 50s, high of 60 for the day. So the switch has definitely gone to fall.
We're talking about Nebraska. Yeah, we've got a stairway full of boxes we couldn't ship during the summer. And I'm like, 911, get those things out because by November we might not be able to ship. It's going to get too cold. So,
Yes.
William, how you doing?
Doing well. Really
All
like
right.
the Chenin.
Awesome. Nice glass.
Want to make sure I get the aroma.
All right. That's
I tasted the first three without knowing what they were, just after I poured one, two, three. And I thought this was much younger than it was.
ah, yeah, I think Cab Franc can kind of do that. But it's also got great aging potential, like they say. It kind of stays right about here for the first 10 years. Doesn't really
Really.
move too much. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
didn't
got
realize it was a 2020. I think I've had this wine for a little while. I do buy from this importer. I tend to have to buy in large chunks, so I sometimes I buy these things and I have them around for a vintage or two, which is a benefit. We got Joe on the Zoom with us tonight. Hi, Joe. Thanks for joining us. Joe is basically running the store. She does all the work. She's the one that talks to you guys, gets the orders filled, gets them out, does all that, and does it so well. She's like the most efficient person I've ever met. So
Thanks, Joe.
thanks, Joe. Mm. I love the mouth on this Chinon. The nose is fun. The mouth is beautiful. It's just the right amount of that grippy element. There's some of those fun Cab Franc characteristics like graphite or pencil lead, pencil shavings. I always smell that in Cab Franc. I always tell this story because when I went to college, my roommate was an architect major, and at that time, everything was done with pencil eraser, and even had an electric pencil eraser, which made the whole house smell like burning eraser. And the pencil lead was everywhere, the dust and all that stuff. So I really got a sense of it. Going to Cal Poly Pomona, you're likely to bunk with a architecture major. That those people work so hard. When I went to college, if I had to work that hard, I would have finished ever. Uh, they had to stay up like 24 hours a day doing their work and drawings and stuff, and it was intense. All right, we're gonna move into wine number four. This time it's 100% Merlot. before I get into that, let me just pump one of my upcoming things we're doing. Maybe you want an excuse to get together. We're going to go to Ojai, November 15th. Got a great day planned for us. I've got a killer trip to Napa. Natalie, are you available? Because I got 2 spots left. Shaking
Sorry, I
your head.
couldn't find the mute button. No, I'm not. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I know it
Well,
was
we'll
definitely something I was interested in.
we'll shoot at you for 27 when we go in January 27.
Sounds good.
Oregon in February. Um, I couldn't put together a better trip to Oregon. It's really awesome. The fact that Portland's on the news every day with a bunch of dancing characters may not be helping my Oregon success. We'll see. I'm going to give it until end of December before I judge anything, but Oregon appears to be a little tougher to sell, but it is awesome and it'll be full of character and we're staying at the best place and we're eating and drinking at the best places. So if you want a really fantastic excursion, Oregon will be great. Sardinia doing pretty well. We're about halfway there already. And if you ever thought about going to the Blue Zones, quite a different trip for us. A lot of different food stops on this way. They make so many unique items in Sardinia and going to an olive oil location. We'll do a cheese. We're going to do some different things in Sardinia, but great wineries throughout. My trip to Paris, Champagne, and London, Kent is doing well, and New Zealand's doing very well. Big trip to New Zealand, like 14 days plus. And then this weekend, I've got my Champagne Challenge with fried chicken from Hal and Ray's. Got a couple spots left for Saturday. The Merlot in your glass is from Robert Foley. Robert Foley, a very established benchmark name brand, really developed his reputation as the winemaker at Pride Mountain, was making Robert Foley at Pride for a while. I think Pride may have gotten a little bit tired of the fact that his wines kept getting a point or two higher in the scores. Robert got a couple of 100-point scores, a couple 99s. Pride did pretty well as well. But Robert Parker called Robert Foley the king of mountain Merlot. And so we're tasting it 2018 because that's the current vintage. We're talking about wines that are coming from off of Mount Veeder, up at high altitude, real close to the Sonoma border. He's been making wine since the late 70s, so I'm sure his role is a lot less hands-on than it used to be, but got a very successful business, owns some great vineyards at high elevation. And he makes a complete suite of wines. The hardest wine to get from Robert Foley is actually the Charbonneau. All the restaurants in the Napa Valley buy the Charbonneau. And so it makes it a little tougher to get Charbonneau as a guy who likes to buy little weird things. I tried to get some Charbonneau. They didn't have an allocation for me. So maybe next year. This is a 100% Merlot. And he gets some pretty powerful character out of it. Extremes are pronounced off the mountains. Higher elevation, a little bit more sun intensity, a little less soil, a little less quantity, a little more power. But he keeps it practical as well. Some of his wines get, towards $200 in a hurry. And Merlot was certainly set back. And so he keeps the Merlot a little kinder, little gentler on the price.
Ian, this
Yeah.
Merlot reminds me a lot of the older Merlots before older Merlots in California went bad.
Yeah, this is
Does that
old school.
comment make sense?
Old school. OG.
But it reminds me a lot of those Merlots back before it became
Yeah,
every bad bit of Merlot imaginable.
he has not really
It's in that
changed
style.
his approach or his recipe. He likes that bigger, riper, richer, which is why Robert Parker and he got along so well and he gets some big numbers from them.
Ian, do you know what the alcohol content is on the Foley?
Tastes high.
A
14,
little higher.
15,
Yeah, 15.3.
15.
It's a little noticeable, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big one. Big, juicy. Um, and this has been made this way for a long time. I think at one time this Merlot was over $100, and um, I think it got down to about $48 for a while. And I'm seeing Merlot prices start to elevate a little bit, just a little bit. Maybe that's just the price of everything causing elevation. But at $60, it's a really good Napa Valley expression. All right, back to our blending ideas. And what a great excuse to try one of the greatest wines on the planet. This is Tenuta Sette Ponte. We have regularly featured wines like Crognolo from this producer. I have a long story with this producer. I think I told you before during the Crognolo showing how he gave me a pair of shoes from his shoe factory, and I got a call from the president of Co-Brand letting me know that I'm not supposed to accept gifts from the winery because they always come with expectations, and he expected me to sign off on a huge 1,000 case order of a brand of a wine that we didn't even import. So be careful accepting shoes. He was the financier behind brands like let's see, what was that brand? Prada. He financed Prada. And in fact, I told him I wanted to go to the Prada factory so because they have a huge outlet there. Oh, wow, it's exciting. And but you to get in to a certain part of it, I don't remember what it was, but I had to have a reservation to get in. And he called ahead, and I got the white glove treatment. I think I got an additional like 25% off or something too. So I think I bought Prada sunglasses for like a 10-year supply when I was there. Tuscany is where we're talking about. And Tenuta Sette Ponte is featured in Leonardo da Vinci's Mona Lisa. It's the river with seven bridges. Beautiful spot. He's only hired champions to work for him, top winemakers, vineyard consultants, winery consultants. We're down to 40% Merlot, but we also got a good chunk of Cab Franc in this wine. 40, 40, 10, 5. I forgot 45. Sorry, 45, 40, 10, 5. And I think it's hard to tell the actual composition of this wine. It is young. This is the 22 coming after the great 21 vintage. I didn't know what to expect from the 22s, but everything I'm tasting from 22 from Tuscany is pretty damn exciting. It was a warmer vintage, as it was in Bordeaux. 99 points. That is Dottore Antonio Moretti and his two very tall sons. And that's how they wake up in the morning. They wear those sports coats to bed. Um, let's check out some of the vernacular that James chose. Vertiginous. What does that mean? High, like high vertical, maybe vertiginous. Tightrope. Walk between savory and sweet on the nose. From the white tea leaf to tart blackberries to Bing cherries to damp earth and gunpowder on the nose. Somersaults into ripe blackberries, black cherries, orange peel, and sticks the landing with savory notes of black olives, a hint of grilled meat, and mixed bitter herbs. I've always enjoyed Areno, but introducing the introduction of Cabernet Franc to the catac mm, but the introduction of the Cabernet Franc is cataclysmic. Can't wait to see where it goes. So when I told you I got a pair,
Vertiginous, yeah, is related to vertigo. It's
oh,
something. It's something that makes you dizzy.
that makes sense. Thank you for that. Uh, when I told you I got a pair of shoes, I can't tell. I have no idea what James Suckling got, but he and James are very good friends. Let's put it that way. And when I got to write with James in Tuscany, Dr. Monetti came for lunch, and James and him are very tight. So can always count on James giving him a little extra verbal spin on the wine, but James is not going to put a big score on a wine that he can't defend. This wine's been scored big time by everybody. See if there are some other reviews you can point to. 98 wine enthusiasts, 97 Falstaff. There probably are more reviews out there now because this wine's pretty damn important. Listed on the Tropicari almost every single year. This wine's massive, beautiful, intense. That nose is captivating. Um, and this wine is absolutely one for, 5+ more years.
Beautiful wine. It's interesting though, because the fruit is so big, and yet the acidity gives it almost a lean, sort of racy quality. It's almost
You nailed it.
kind of oxymoron there, but
No,
I
it's
love
that's
wines like
perfect.
this.
That's what acidity does. It takes those big characters and moves them through your palate, where this wine almost feels daft light. Uh, but this thing is huge. It's huge, and it's tightly wound too. I mean, that's part of its youth. You almost need to taste this with the imagination of where it's going to go and what it's going to end up doing. And I think it's actually only a year more before this thing really goes wow. Because by tasting this at this point, I can be like, okay, I can already see this thing as the that it's like tying a shoelace kind of tightly, and then you walk around in it for half a day and you look down and your shoes untied. This is starting to happen to this wine. The laces are just starting to get a little stretched out, and you're feeling that space now in between the power. And I really appreciate what this wine can do. um James is making a point to point out that the Cab Franc is now being added to this wine. Prior iterations were Merlot Cab and Petit Verdot without the Cab Franc. So we're looking at something pretty exciting for the future. The winemaker that was involved in designing this wine, the most the highest scored winemaker forever. He has moved now into like a consultancy position as he's pretty mature and doesn't do the day work that he used to. But keeps this guy as his client and keeps the younger people on it. His sons are very bright, and they've got big intentions for this brand and all that they do. So really a cool story to know about.
Hey, Ian, if you put this in a tasting, 6 wines, 5 of them are Bordeaux, and this one, would you be able to pick this out in the lineup?
The only thing that would really probably scream is that Italian acidity
The
would be
brightness as
marked.
well. Yeah, the
Yeah,
brightness of the one.
it's
Yeah.
the perfect question because you're gonna taste it now and just remember the way this thing finishes with like it leaves your tongue like it's tied to a line. I mean, I'm still talking to you. When's the last time I tasted the wine? A minute ago. I still feel it.
Hmm.
You know, we're about to taste a Bordeaux, and
Oh, there
a
you
young
go.
one at only 9 years old. Let's see how it compares, because it's a big Merlot, a big Bordeaux, and this is a really good thing to be able to taste these two titans right next to each other. 99 point Super Tuscan next to a 99 point Bordeaux that I'm so thrilled to taste with you. I purchased this when I was in Bordeaux last year, or actually earlier this year in April. Um, the importer knew I was going. This is a spectacular little property. Now, what's also cool is I got to go to this place when it was a dusty little teeny family place that benefited because their name was Le Carmes Aubryon. They were right next to Aubryon. Well, flash forward 20 years later, the missus, she's an older woman. She still lives in the house that you see on that label, but the investment company that came in and bought this property allows her to finish her life living in that house. They built an absolute gorgeous state of the art winemaking facility. They've spent so much money fixing this thing up. And it went from a wine that sold for 50, 60, $70 a bottle. Today's wine's close to 300 bucks.
Yikes.
Okay. So it became a big boy in a hurry through their with their investment and what they knew they could do and the things that they did to elevate this brand. They didn't just slap a big price on it. It's this is a different winery than it was 30 years ago. And it looks like, oh, by the way, very famous French designer. See if it says it in the slideshow. I think it does. We'll see if we get there. So we're down in Pessac-Léognan, south of Bordeaux. This is like the original old school Bordeaux, Romans involved, in the Pope lived here. One of the popes. There's a actual brand called Pop Clement because the guy who owned the vineyard became the Pope. Um, I have gone from loving all Bordeaux to being able to say now that I love all Pessac-Léognan. It is my favorite place for Bordeaux. I find them to be the most interesting, the most classic terroir driven. They are, I think, the wine equivalent of Scotch. There's something almost peaty about them that's very different. And I really like Pessac-Léognan. And when I go and somebody hands me a wine list, if I have a chance to order a white or a red from Bordeaux, it's probably going to be from Pessac. All right, there is the new winery. It is using all of the history of Bordeaux. The top face looks like a moat around a castle. but that building goes down about 6 stories underground. And that's all that sticks out from at the top. It's a nice little entry. There's the classic house where the owner still lives, like I said. 41 Cab Franc, 39 Merlot, 20 Cab Sauv. So much more of a Cab Franc play on this particular vintage, especially. But you add those two up, that's 80% of the wine. There's Guillaume Pothier. Did not meet Guillaume. I have to break the slideshow and figure it out. Who designed Le Carmes Aubryon? There it is. Philippe Starck. Each week at Zoom into Wine, we take on a different.
That's a name.
Yeah. There we go. So that's I mean, think of the investment that took to get him to do this too. And by the way, there's so many little Philippe Starck elements to this property. Philippe, he created this special bottle that is like round like a donut that you can only buy at the winery, and it comes in a jewel box, and they do all kinds of stuff that's way too hip for the rest of Bordeaux. But they get away with it because of Philippe Starck's uh, reputation, etc. Now, of course, Philippe Starck's not involved in the ownership. He's not involved in the wine. Didn't touch the wine label, but did do some special packages for the gift store, and there's influences throughout the building from Philippe Starck. It's not just the outside. Notes that we're going to notice here: smoke, tobacco, decaying flowers, charcoal, gravelly minerality, loads of sweet black and blue fruits, full-bodied richness, flawless integration of acidity, fruit, and ultra-fine tannins, a blockbuster finish. This is another 2016 that possesses the power and elegance. Do your best to hide bottles for 5 to 7 years. It will keep for 3 to 4 decades. 99 points, Jeb Dunnick. It's got a plethora of huge scores behind it. It is a beautiful, I would say, I don't want to say petit chateau, but it is on the smaller scale. So part of that price move may be because they're so small, but certainly the investment that they made was based on being able to charge a lot more, as they knew they could ratchet up the quality. I hope that your comment there, Natalie, is delicious and intense. Was that on the Moreno? Might have been. Let me get your thoughts on this one as we taste it together. 99 points from Jeb, 99 points from the Wine Cellar Insider, who is the guy's right so often. His name's Jeff Levy. He lives here in LA. All he writes about is Bordeaux. He's a really like intensely wound guy, just focused on Bordeaux, but he spends he's a very wealthy Bel Air guy who drinks insane wines and posts them on his Facebook page all day long. and he shows up in Wine Searcher on searches. So if it's about Bordeaux, you can really count on his score being pretty relevant. James Suckling 97, Venus 96, Parker 95. Check this out. Okay, so going back to what you said, Thomas, earlier, can you feel the difference already?
Definitely. I mean, both are fantastic wines. Um, Being a CFO, I would, of course, rather have, 4 bottles of the Arena than, but this is a beautiful wine. It's superb. Um, it definitely has, I don't know what the how you describe the flavor, the sort of, I don't know, foxy, not, it's a bad word, but there's a little bit of the natural flavor that comes out of a Bordeaux that you don't have in the Arena, which is the brighter, more intense thing. I think you would be able to pick out the Tuscan wine in a group of relatively um, Bordeaux that really recognize Bordeaux from that standpoint.
Yeah.
Both are wonderful wines, great depth of flavor. I'm curious. This strikes me as being a long way to go to be at its peak. What's your view on that?
Yeah. I think at the high end of Bordeaux, you are making a pretty expensive mistake in opening it before it's 10 years old.
So this
Uh,
is 9, right? And I'm getting the feeling like I'd wait 5 years.
yeah, certainly. And when you start to list vintages from Bordeaux, if 16 is not the best vintage of all time, it's right there. And so you've got a wine from 14 isn't just 2 years older. It's like mass. It's ready to drink.
Yeah,
14 vintage,
yeah.
whereas 16 is going to hold off on how soon it can be, at that level. This is a one, the better the vintage, the longer you need to wait. And so we do have a really good wine here. I think it's fun to drink, fun to taste at this level. Just like the 22 Arena was fun to taste. Are they
Beautiful
ready
wine.
to drink a whole bottle? Maybe not, but you want to make your judgments now. You want to be able to compare and contrast to when you taste them again in the years to come, and you want to build your knowledge of vintages. 16 being great, and something exciting too, because if you went 5, 6, 7 years earlier with the Carms, totally different wine. Not a bad wine. You might spend $150 on an '09 Carms. It's made in an utterly different world. The winemaking facility, the mentality, everything changed with this new team, and they spared no expense. We're talking laser sorting tables,
What
gravity.
year did they come in?
It might have been right around 9. Um, Maybe ownership was starting to change before that, and they had to get all the permits and licenses and Philippe Stark drawings done. The winery got completed somewhere around 14. Uh, so there were a couple of years in there where maybe the wine started getting better, but the place wasn't done yet. But the vineyard took some time, and there's even still parts of the vineyard they haven't replanted yet. So this brand still has some upside. And I think if you look at the scores of this wine, ever since 16, 18, 19, 20, 21, they're all huge. They're all huge. So it's a teeny little drop of wine compared to something like La Mission or Chateau Aubrion, but uh, for those in the know, they've got this. Oh, they also have their own perfume. So there you go.
The residual nose in my glass is amazing.
Mm.
Really beautiful.
Yeah, and I that's what I love about Pesec too, is the nose is really the coolest part of a Pesec Leignon wine. The white wines are on the equal too, and they can also be almost the same price. Aubrion's Blanc is more expensive than the red. So you could spend over $1,000 a bottle for their white wine at Aubrion.
We're gonna have
And
to do a Bordeaux tasting, and led by you, of course, of things that are the ordinary person can afford, but deliver this kind of quality, right?
right. Well, we
Yeah.
do that every once in a while. Top
Yeah.
values, stuff like that.
So Ian, Bill and I met in 1989, and about a year and a half ago, I bought at auction an '89 Aubryon from one of those great years for Aubryon. I haven't figured out when we're opening it yet,
Oh,
but
let's figure it out, man. Come on. Do it while you can. Buy another one. The 89 is awesome. I have uh my some of my favorite wines are old Aubryon wines. 82 is of course great. But if you can get it back, I think the 61 is insanely priced at this point. But um, very legendary, vintages. Oberon's usually one of the best wines of the vintage when it's great. And when it's not a great vintage, it's usually one of the worst scoring wines of the vintage because this is kind of an appellation that's great when it's great and just kind of hits like good enough, but not doesn't shine in tough vintages.
Hmm.
But so they price them accordingly. The wine prices go all over the place in Pessac Léognan. With some of our favorite houses, like Smith Lafitte, is in
Yeah, but there's a lot of that in my cellar.
yeah, that's one of the best values in Bordeaux too.
And their whites are now more expensive than their reds too, because the production is so small and they've been bid up.
And now it's getting so hard to get. And it's the whites so gone. Like you have to buy it all when you hear it's in, or else you probably won't see it again. So we've got some fun Zooms coming at you. We're coming towards the end of the year. We're going to start posting the Zooms for 2026. Can you believe that?
No.
Crazy. But for now, let's see. Next week we have an event here in Los Angeles on the 29th. So we're taking next week off. We've got the Rhone Valley on the first week of November. The wines are on the website. Can't recommend this one enough. Chateauneuf de Pape, Hermitage, Gingondas, Saint Joseph, and a really good little performing Côte de Rhône that we carry from Pierre Gaillard called Operation Dragoon, and a wine that just hit the Wine Spectator Top 100 values. This little white. I just ran out of stock on it, but they had another case for me, so we'll keep it in the program. But a really good little bottle of wine from a great producer in Vacara. So a super lineup. Join us for that if you can. Wines of Mexico, which we were going to try to do earlier this year. I'm not sure. I don't remember what happened, but we pushed it out to November 12th, and we're getting all the winemakers on board for this. They'll be live on this Zoom. So join us because this is really going to be a special show. The wines here are some of our best-selling wines in the store are in this lineup. Casa de Piedra. I'm sending this all over the country, by the way. Casa de Piedra is really, people go to Mexico, to Baja, and they taste Ugo de Acosta's wines, and they freak out and they want to own them, and they're not distributed outside of California. So people buy them from me all the time, all over the place. You've had this one probably before with me. It remains a top selling wine. It's from Ugo Acosta's son, the Vinos Kruger. We're going to taste their cab, a big, typical, bold Cabernet, a really fun Tempranillo from Hacienda Guadalupe. This is an $80 beauty from Baja called Ensalados. And I will learn how to really pronounce it when the owner comes on, because she's going to do it. And she's special, super bright, lovely, charming, and sells this to kings, queens, and princesses all over the world. The Vinos Platos is a great little blend, and you're gonna like that too. And these, some people think these are all super cheap, but they come in between $30 and $40 in general, and they really do perform well in those zones. The $80 ones a standout. I spent a little time on that because it's not that far away, and I want to see us have big success for all those producers. So if you can commit to that one, I'd love to have you. I'm gonna get one more plug in there before I say goodbye. Burgundy coming down the pipe. November 19th, we have Stars of Cabernet in November. So this is taking up that spot. And then I do one more Zoom before Thanksgiving. And I'm on a plane on Thanksgiving, and I will be in England and France, building out our trip to Champagne and Kent and doing all that stuff, working through some logistics with some of the planners, but also just going on a little vacation, just me and my wife. Gonna have a little fun. We come back, I get back in time to do Barolo versus Brunello. I almost don't need to explain how great this lineup is. Those wines are posted. And probably by next week, I'm going to start to tell you what the top wines of the year is going to be, because we want to be able to sell some bottle kits. So we'll put some of those on there, if not all of them. We just started to announce that our New Year's Eve champagne primer is with the champagne ambassador from Louis Roeder, the actual champagne, not the California sparkling. We're going to be offering two ticket types, well, actually three, because we got the half bottle, which is very rare for that wine. We're going to have the half bottle. We're going to have the full bottle. And if you want to go VIP, you could do the Cristal. And we'll have interviews with the team for this event. I'm not going to have them all live. I hope I didn't say live, but because it's New Year's Eve. But we're going to be recording with them for the 10 days before, different people from Roederer telling us about their history, their legend, and these wines. And it's the Zoom will be over right before, big things can happen on New Year's Eve. So maybe you want to join us, or you could do it the day after. But it's a good excuse to get a little champagne for New Year's.
You might be in England at the same time.
Oh, wow, cool. I'm
I'm
going
flying.
Cotswold.
We're going out. We're leaving on Friday after Thanksgiving to do some art and theater. So, Ian, I have a question about the arena, which you guys all loved. And to me, it had some very strong flavors that almost seemed to be fighting with each other.
Mm,
Does that make sense?
sure. I mean, it's a big wine, and it's lashing out at every taste bud and corner of your mouth. It's a big heavy weight wine for sure. And that wine is not for someone who doesn't like big wine.
I like some big wines, just that one was kind of funky for me.
Cool. Did you have any favorites, Nat?
Yeah, I really love this the French one, the last one.
Cool. I'm
I
glad
like
we
a,
could.
I like it when it's a little funky and you can taste a little bit of earth and cedar, and I always call it grandma's basement. There's just a little bit of funk to it. So um, I'm taking my time enjoying it.
Excellent. William, how about you?
I'm going to have to go old world. And between the Haut-Brion, the Charmes Haut-Brion, and the Tuscan, it just be what I was eating. I think the Tuscan needs a little time.
Yeah,
It's a beautiful wine, but it's 6 years younger than the Bordeaux.
yeah.
Um, and then I really like the Chenin. I think they're underappreciated, and they age so beautifully, and they're such a good food wine. So I, clearly the last two were the best, but I have to put a honorable mention into the Chenin.
Cool. In 1991, the French were drinking over 30 gallons of wine per capita. That number is almost cut in half. And because of that, prices on a lot of wines, such as the Chinon, probably haven't changed, even under pressure of and uh, inflation and cost of goods going up. These wineries have had to keep their prices down, and they're probably just living on the fact that they own the
Oh,
land. It's paid for generations, and so that Chinon has been about $30 for over 20 years. And there's a lot of examples like that. In fact, on my vacation, I'm going to be going to Alsace and love the Alsatian wines. And the higher end has started to move up, but I also believe it's because they're making a lot less wine than they used to, and there are vineyards that aren't even picked anymore. And then they've also had some pretty good success with making some sparkling wines up there to use up some of the volume. So that may be I'll get a little bit better insight when I visit, but that's it's pretty interesting to me. I'm seeing the very, very top end of the Alsatian spectrum start to rocket up. And maybe that's part of the importer, part of the wineries just doing it to say, hey, we're not making any money anyway. We might as well make them expensive. But the they are really great, and they are talk about underappreciated. Uh, you if you've never had Clos Saint Hoon, it is one of the great wines. I mean, in my life I've ever got to try. I've only had on a few different very special occasions where someone in the room has been very generous, because that is a white wine that sells for probably $500 if you get it on if you're the first person to buy it, and the old vintages are selling north of that. And it is memorable because it is so good. It's a very special clos inside of a large vineyard area that just makes wines that are they don't move. They don't move. You could buy the 83. It's still fresh. It's uh it's a really special house. And that's made by Trimbach, by the way.
I'm going to Alsace this spring. It's such a beautiful place, and the wines, like you say, are exceptional. I wish we got more of them out here.
Well, I will come back with some recommendations for you to visit when you go.
Thank
Um,
you.
I'll be there the first week of December.
Most excellent. I look forward to it.
All right,
Ian,
guys.
coming back to the Chinon, I mean, Alsace seems to fight to get prices that are comparable with the quality of wines as well. Because I've always loved a lot of the wines from that region, and they're still pretty good bang for the buck. So I mean,
Oh, 100%. Yeah,
so what keeps them, what hurts them in the market? It's not like nobody's heard of them, but they still seem to struggle, at least not from a drinker's point of view, but from a winemaker's point of view, they seem to struggle.
I think it's just one of those classic things where they have kept it so classic that maybe not sexy with the younger generation. They probably need a movie like Sideways made about Chinon. They probably have some marketing challenges that they should be worrying about and maybe all, contributing towards because the wines are made the same way they were made also 50 years ago. And I wouldn't say you've seen some revelation in wine quality coming out of Chinon. What has improved is all the white wines in that area, the Vouvrays and the areas right around it. Those wines have gone from being overproduced for the touristy level of markets to just really special. And I love Chenin Blanc.
So do
And
I. So that's
yeah, so there's some great examples. And those wines are selling for more than the reds from Chinon. So
yes.
I think that's maybe what's happened is that if there's a wine that they've been focusing on to improve and they've been getting out in the marketplace a little bit better, it's the white. And the
But they're
red is
still
kind of
not crazy expensive.
and
They're
the
still
reds are kind of cap. I mean, think about it too. What's the potential market for Chinon? You can't. It's going to be a French bistro, and how many French bistros are even out there anymore? They've almost all gone away. You got some high-end French restaurants, and that's too casual a wine for that. And there's very little, French little cafes anymore. Some of the best ones in LA have just recently closed. Um, and and they were the best. They were the best. They were the last fighting French cafes. So I think the marketplace disappeared for Chinon almost as much as anything else. And so it's kind of left up to retail and maybe international hotels where a Chinon might have a chance. A couple little a couple little spots in between. There are a few French restaurants so you can still do it. When I go to Napa Valley, I'll go to Yountville, I'll go to Ad Hoc, and they'll be pouring a Chinon by the glass. Um, because the winemakers in Napa Valley like it, and they're like, "Oh, let's drink something that's not Napa Valley." Yeah. Well, thanks for the conversation, gang. You have a great night. Enjoy the World Series. It starts this Friday.